afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you are watching. Welcome to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. I am Mrs. Best, and we are here to go over our weekly review of Power Book. I believe it's Power Book 3 or 4, Raising Kanan. This was season 5, episode 7. It was titled Penultimate Means Second to Last. We are almost there. We are definitely almost there. I believe we have 2 episodes left. They usually do like 10 episodes. So I'm very excited for this final season. But to all of those watching or who have been watching, if you're new to the channel, welcome in. I do appreciate you guys for watching. I hope that you consider liking the video. You can also hype the video, leave a super chat, or simply just leave a comment letting me know you're watching. I do appreciate all of it, all of it, all of it. I also hope you guys, my apologies. I hope you guys consider looking into the description of this video. There are some links to great creators that also cover this show, such as Miss Kira Speaks, Tamika's Den, and many more. So tap in. But let's get into this episode. So, you know, Kanan, he's still healing up from being whooped on by Marvin. But we start this episode with Stefano. Now, we saw that Stefano in the last episode is now working with Hafiz, who was one of the people that Rock was working with and pivotal to her operation as well. Hafiz is unhappy. He's pissed off, and he has a reason to be pissed off. Now, he explained to Rock, even though he claimed to be about loyalty, you know, at the end of the day, drug dealing, the game, the streets, whatever you want to call it, is a business as well. And if somebody offered him a better price for his business, which that has happened, then we can't really get mad at Hafiz. So I did feel like Rock did too much coming after his people, but I also understand where Rock was coming from. Moral of the story is Hafiz is not happy, and he's talking to Pino about this. And Stefano, in my opinion, I don't know if the writers made it to look this way, but this is just how Mrs. Best interpreted it. I know we all have different opinions, but it seems like Stefano clearly knew what he was doing with this situation. I feel like he purposefully went and got Hafiz, obviously, to mess with Rock. And now that he has that, I think he knew that Rock would retaliate against them for not being loyal. Because now Stefano's like saying to Hafiz, well, you know, I don't want you to get your hands dirty. Let me worry about unaliving her. And we have to remember that Pino did not want Stefano to make a move on Rock. So the only way Stefano could do that is if he found a loophole. And this seems like a loophole because other people would have came after her anyway, Pino, who don't owe you nothing. So can you really be mad? But I looked at Stefano. I said, that's kind of smart to spend that in your own direction. Okay. Now, Flossie in another scene is meeting with Marvin and Rock in the park. Flossie, we didn't know what was going to happen with her, but obviously Kanan did not unalive her, and she did not unalive him. Now, I knew that she wasn't going to because she hesitated before shooting, and which is crazy. I don't even know how to work a weapon, but if somebody break into my house with the intention to harm me in any way, especially you set me up by one of my old 304s, what did they say in the song? I don't bust back because I shoot first. That's me. That is me. Like, are we really being for real? But Flossie left Kanan alive because we do know that Flossie is kind of what Rock should be. I hate that she's melanin redacted lady, but Flossie is doing the business right. She has good connections. She thinks before she reacts. She doesn't just go unaliving people for no reason. Like, she tends to think. I think Rock thinks as well and is a boss, but she's emotional without being emotional, if that makes sense. So it didn't work. But Flossie is not happy. She explains that they are done doing business because of all of the drama that's happened with her son, the drama that's on the streets. And she says that Kanan told her about the situation with the drugs for the judge, that Jarita, aka Tiana, slipped the dude, or one of the girls, not Jarita, but Jarita basically told everybody's business in the operation. Kanan used that to slip the drugs to that judge. And now Flossie is aware of it and she's not happy. And I don't blame her for cutting ties. So she tells Rock she's done. Flossie is connected. She tells Rock, Pino is done with you as well. And I said, oh, you that much of a boss? She said, I told Pino not to deal with you no more. And she said that the only reason that Raquel is alive right now is because of Marvin, because Flossie and Marvin had a good, you know, relationship and a good friendship. Marvin's always making friends in strange places. We could also argue that could be part of his demise, but I digress. But I did appreciate the fact that she valued her friendship with Marvin. So it is what it is. Rock is just bringing people down, and it seems like Rock is struggling to admit and accept defeat. And I understand it. Don't nobody want to lose, but girl, you lost. Oh, you more than lost, Raquel. Now, Kanan and Dorita get into this argument. No disrespect, I'm not arguing with a 304 about nothing, especially one that had a pimp. No, we can't argue about nothing. But Dorita is starting to realize that Kanan is a natural born, you know what? He unaliving people for sport. And they low-key broke up, but they didn't really. Kanan looked at her and called her out her name. In the words of Mama D, he was like, BICTH. Like, you ain't nothing. I'm not tripping off you no way. Even though we know that he does care about Dorita. We saw Dorita in the original Power Book series. Like, I don't understand that, but he low-key broke up with Dorita. I said, I would have stayed with him after I just lost my job and all of this for you. You may as well have stayed with him, Dorita, but what can we do? What can we do? Now, Breeze meets with Snaps and Pops, and Snaps and Pops tell Breeze that Raquel and the Thomases are now up for grabs because Pino is not protecting them anymore. So anybody can unalive them. And we know that Snaps and Pops, as well as Stefano, they have a personal bone to pick, and they want to get Rock. Now, they come up with this crazy plan. They want Kanan to do the work. They want Kanan to unalive Marvin, and they want Breeze to unalive Rock. And the reason they did that is because they feel as though Breeze will be able to pull the trigger on Rock, but they feel like Kanan may pause, which is true. If he really wanted to unalive his mama, he would have. What's sick is his main beef was with his mother, but he ended up unaliving his uncles, which to me is like not okay and absolutely insane. But you know, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So that is the plan for that. I don't like it, but I also kind of understand it, if that makes sense. Now, Detective Garcia is meeting with IA. For those who don't know what IA stands for, that's Internal Affairs, kind of like the police's HR and accountability. IA ain't been doing a good job in real life, but I digress. They are meeting with Detective Garcia because they are questioning him about his interactions with Captain Baptiste because he unalived himself. And the last people that he was seen to be talking to and hitting up was Detective Garcia. So of course, the feds and IA are like, what's going on with this? And, you know, Garcia acts like he wasn't aware that Baptiste was corrupt, which technically he wasn't aware until recently. If Juke didn't ask him to look into stuff, he wouldn't have fully been aware. But I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm just sniffly on this video. My allergies are horrible. We're getting the weirdest weather in the Bay Area. Shout out to those who watch me in the Bay Area. I have learned that I do have some subscribers that are out here. I appreciate all my subscribers, but the Bay Area is a place that is hard to break through and to get people to support you, even if you are from here. So I am happy to see that you guys are starting to watch and support, and I do appreciate it, as well as everybody else. Juke meets up with Kanan, and Kanan and Jukebox meeting up. I'm like, obviously he still respects her, even though she told him he basically wasn't nothing, but she obviously still respects him to a certain extent, and he still respects her to an extent because they're still willing to like intermingle and speak. Jukebox lets Kanan know that she is for sure about who unalived Famous. Famous was so pivotal to Kanan and this storyline, and his death was really unfortunate, but you would think that Kanan would care because Kanan's whole beef and why he's angry with Rock, separate from him being a spoiled brat who wants to lead stuff before he understands anything, he was under the impression that Raquel unalived Famous because of Snaps and Pop. So now he knows that that is not the case, and he just sat there looking at her. I said, that's why nobody like you, Kanan. That's exactly why nobody likes you. Like, we may have respected Kanan to a certain extent, a little bit in Power, but when you even go back and watch Power, like Kanan was loyal to nobody. He wasn't loyal to his son. He wasn't really loyal to anybody, but he had people loyal to him, like Dorita's dingy self. But, you know, his reaction was weird. Like, he didn't seem to care. And when she learns that it was Snaps and Pops, it doesn't make sense. He says to Juke, he was like, well, if Fame was talking to the police, he got what he deserved. Shut up, Kanan. Shut up. That's why you got what you deserved. Okay? That's exactly why you got what you deserved. Ridiculous. The only good thing Kanan did was help Jarita to become less of a hoe. Let's just call a spade a spade. That's all she did. Because he may have been ruthless, but he wasn't that smart. Because when we watched this show, it looks like for the most part, Raquel, other people, they were the ones making the smart decisions and the smart moves. Kanan wasn't smart. Kanan still hasn't proven to be smart. And in Power, he wasn't that smart. He was lethal. He was ruthless. But the smartest thing he ever did was try to turn Tariq against Ghost and get Tariq on his side. And it did work. It did work. It did. But what good did that do him? Look where he ended up. So ridiculous. But Kanan is aware that doesn't seem to care. Jukebox looks disappointed in him and he leaves. Now, while this is happening, Rock is meeting with Pino. And Pino explains to Rock that he's done with her. She's still got her chest down and she's trying to look like she's not, scared or nothing. Still got her little attitudes and stuff. But as Pino said, like, her confidence is incredible. But her confidence is also her demise. And the problem with her son, her family, the respect she gets on the streets, her confidence is problematic, a little too problematic. They say an overly confident person is a person that will fall. Okay, that's why you never see narcissists thriving. Overly confident people don't always thrive. They just don't. Now, not Rock. I'm so sorry, y'all. I read my notes wrong and I'm wearing glasses today. Look at the Lord. Detective Garcia, Jukebox, and Marvin have a meetup. Now, we know that Detective Garcia is not willing to work with Juke anymore because he handed back the money and him and Juke were like, we ain't with this like that for real. And the little melanin redacted girl that Marvin has been trying to protect and was trying to protect, she finally admitted that it was a black man that came in the house and popped old dude. So because of that, now the police are going to be on Marvin. And it's looking like Marvin is going to have to do some time. And Juke is obviously worried because that's her dad. But as soon as they made it seem this way, I was like, at this point in the show, I was like, oh my gosh, Marvin's going to go to jail. Like maybe that's where he was. Obviously, with how this episode ends, we know that is not the case. Friendly reminder, if you have not watched the episode yet and you are at this point in the video, I do recommend that you leave the video and come back after you've watched the episode because there are going to be spoilers for this point going forward. It's going to be kind of hard for me to avoid them. So I apologize in advance if I am spoiling it for anybody. Now, Rock is confronted by the feds, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Rock is in some shit. That's just really what it is. She's in some shit. And the feds pretty much let her know that the property she purchased, and I believe I said this a couple weeks ago in the earlier episodes of the season, we saw that Rock took a phone call and sold one of her properties because she was desperate for money to a shady character. Her broker advised her against it. Marvin advised her against it. She did it anyway. And this person was into money laundering. In addition to being into money laundering, they were dealing with terroristic behavior. They called it terroristic money laundering. And the feds are offering Rock a deal. They say, we've been following you for months. And Rock is trying to deny it. And they're like, okay, well, you may be able to explain this as, oh, you don't know what people do with the money after it. Oh, you just sold to whoever, your broker this, your broker that. But how are you going to explain your meetings and relationship with Pino Gennard, but Pino as well as Stefano? She's been hanging out with the mob. Okay? Literally. You didn't think, Rock, that by hanging out with people who are working in organized crime on the East Coast, that the police of some sort wouldn't be looking at you, especially when you got this attitude and confidence. It just shows Rock's ego was bigger than her. Her ego was bigger than her. Now, they offered her a deal, and I was saying, I wonder what she's going to do. And I am going to skip scenes a little bit because I'm not going to go back and forth. We're not playing ping pong or pickleball, okay? But Rock goes outside. She talks to her lawyer. Her lawyer explains that your broker snitched on you to the feds, which I'm not mad at the broker. He's a broker. Like, here's what people in the streets need to understand. People not in the streets who are strong enough to sit and be poor. There's some people, I remember living in the hood before I got my degree and all of this stuff, okay? I knew a lot of boys have dated guys who was, hey, I got to go sell this so I can make this bread. All of them still stuck in the hood. And Marvin brings up a good point about that later on in the episode, but It's really just not worth it, in my opinion. Rock got greedy and now it's coming back to bite her. But you cannot expect somebody that's not on your block, not with the shit, not in your business, aka the broker, to just keep their mouth shut to police, especially when word around the neighborhood is ain't nobody respecting you no more. You don't got power, play, or no work like that no more. So I'm not surprised that this happened, but her lawyer made it clear you're in a bad situation. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Raquel because they did make mention of Rock in the current, or not current, but in Power when Kanan was an adult. They alluded that Rock was not unalive. So I don't know. It looks like they're sticking to what happened in Power because we did get some answers for this show from that. And that's what I appreciate about the Power book series. Like everything connects to the original series in some way as well. But we will see what Miss Rock does. Her reign is definitely coming to an end. She's still a bad bitch, though. Patina Miller is fine. She's beautiful. Now, Breeze tells Kanan what Snaps and Pops wants them to do as it relates to unaliving Marvin and Rock. And Kanan's raggedy ass is like, I want to unalive my mom. Bitch, nigga, if you wanted to unalive your mama, you had the chance. But instead, you unalived your uncle. I would have looked at my mom and pointed the gun at her, too, since my uncle was already dropped and handled both of them. But knowing Kanan's dumbass, he didn't actually think that far. But now he talk about he ready and he want to unalive his mama. And this is exactly what they don't want. Nobody trusts his gangster. And, you know, Breeze explains like that's not the case. Like, I'm going to unalive Rock. You going to unalive Marvin, your uncle. And Kanan is just angry now. Now he wants to express his feelings about Famous. You know, they killed my best friend. They got rid of my best friend. You mean the guy that you just told Juke, if he was talking to the police, that he got what he deserved? Kanan, go somewhere. You so wishy-washy. Kanan is not the best criminal. He really, like, he gave us the most entertainment in the Power Book series, and I know a lot of people may disagree with me when I say this, but he is the dumbest of dumb. I would argue that Kanan and Ghost lacked so much intelligence. Now, Ghost was funny and entertaining, but even the Ghost persona where he put on that hoodie and would go do stuff, I was like, he's hella obvious. This is not stealthy. 6 foot tall black man walking into areas of New York that are nice in a hoodie covered up and stuff. You're not a ghost, okay? If anything, you are the brightest color paint that could exist, okay? It's called being black in America. Sorry, not sorry. But I've always felt like Kanan and Ghost were not the smartest. I feel like Tommy Egan, hey, Joseph Sakura, I feel like Tommy Egan has always been, in some ways, a smarter criminal because he has a little bit of what Ghost has, which is the brain, and he also has the ruthlessness and the lethalness that Kanan has. Shout out Tommy Egan. I'll be watching your little spinoff with Tariq. And yes, I will be watching and covering Power Book Origins as well once they announce the date for that. Now, Juke breaks down and she had a moment with her dad because she was extremely worried about him. And with what we know of how this episode ends is really sad, but Jukebox is so worried about her father, not realizing that the person she needs to be afraid of her father being around is her cousin. And Marvin also is making his round. He goes to tell Rock that the streets don't belong to them. And, you know, it's interesting because we started this season with Rock having to tell Marvin, like, accept it. Unique is gone. He ain't coming back. You're not going to find him. Now the tables have turned and Marvin is telling Rock, accept it. The streets don't belong to us no more. And we never going to get it back. And he said, we marked and it's time to let the streets go. And he made a big spiel about how Rock don't really care about him or Lou. And he also made a comment to Rock that I felt like was real. And I feel like a lot of people who are in the streets, probably not watching my review, probably don't care to hear the message, probably didn't receive it from the show. But let's call a spade a spade. Something Marvin said is so true. I've had a lot of family members. I've had a lot of friends that I have lost. They have unfortunately passed away due to doing stuff in the streets here in Oakland, California. And I'm sure wherever you guys are watching from in the world, there are people you've known in the streets, in the hood, on the block, things like that, who have lost their lives chasing money that they couldn't even really spend. Marvin made a good point. He was like, it's never enough. There's always more to do. It's never enough. At what point is it enough in terms of the money? People get into the game because they have a need. No one just is out here breaking the law to break the law. I truly believe that. Everyone's doing something so they can have something. However, people get greedy. And I definitely think that Rock got greedy. And I was happy that Marvin brought that up. You know, fast money may be great, but the faster you get it, the faster you lose it. And the more of a headache you have, it just makes you think, is it really worth it? The fact that, you know, Marvin was reflecting on that when talking to his sister, I was like, oh, they gonna take Marvin from us. Like, I knew when he had that talk and when he started seeing that pastor more frequently, I knew that Marvin wasn't gonna make it. He got a heart too late in the game, in my opinion. Now, after all of this, we see that Jukebox is following Snaps and Pops. Jukebox is following Snaps and Pops. And even before this, Marvin got into a little like shootout and whatever with Breeze, because Breeze did try to make a move on him, but it didn't really work out like that. Other things that happen, I'm going to get to that in a moment, but Jukes following Snaps and Pops, and she follows them right to Breeze. Breeze learns that the little melanin redacted boys, them white boys that he had Taz working for, they got caught up. And what ended up happening is they snitched. They snitched on Breeze. So now Snaps and Pops are looking at Breeze and they're like, listen, your services are no longer needed. Your services are no longer needed, which I think was crazy. It looks like Breeze got caught up in some way as it relates to them snitching. So now the feds are dealing with them. So Snaps and Pops are like, we want nothing to do with you. We don't need your services. And I'm like, dang, y'all just go drop him that fast, but it's part of the game. No pun intended to the song that is the opening theme. It is called Part of the Game. But Breeze walks off mad, and Juke walked in, and Jukebox said, this is for Famous. She let them know they unalive Famous. Snaps kind of gave it away. Pops was trying to play like, nah, we ain't do that. But Snaps' face said, we did that, and this young lady is upset. And if the police know, then there's a lot more that they know. Like, Snaps kind of gave it away in her facial expression. I don't know if the actress meant to do that, but Jukebox popped them. I said, this is where Jukebox turned, because when we think of power, Jukebox was in there still messing with Kanan as a cop, but she was shady as hell. So it's unfortunate, but somebody had to do and get justice for Famous. And it's really pathetic that it was Jukebox and not Kanan. Kanan, you out here crying and throwing a big ass bitch fit because you want to be recognized as a real gangster by your mommy, but you can't even get revenge right for your best friend. You accidentally offed your uncle. Kanan just ain't shit and is all over the place, but at least Jukebox got her get back. But it's unfortunate because Aisha did go to Kanan trying to warn her, like, your cousin finna do something that she'll regret. But she learned quickly, like, they don't care about each other like that for real. Just because you share blood with people does not make them family. And that's definitely what Aisha saw as it related to the Thomases. Now, we get to the saddest scene of the show. Marvin goes to church with a suitcase full of money and a letter for Juke. It's almost like Marvin knew that something was going to happen to him. And he gives the suitcase to the pastor. Now, Mr. Best is funny. Mr. Best said he showed he could trust him with that money. Listen, we would hope. We are hoping that he could trust him with the money. But he gives a suitcase to the pastor. The pastor goes to the back to lock it up. And while he's gone, Kanan walks into the church. I said, you raggedy, nasty, ill-faced bitch nigga. You think you the biggest gangster. And that's what a lot of people in the streets don't realize. Without your gat, nobody respects you. Respect based off fear is not respect. That's people respecting themselves and wanting to live more than they respect your weapon, baby. It has nothing to do with y'all. I'll never respect a motherfucker who moves like Kanan. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Kanan and Marvin have this talk. Marvin realizes Kanan is there to unalive him. And it was the fact that he just walked in a church to do it. Kanan was taking his time popping Marvin. And Marvin looked at Kanan and told him some stuff that was so true. He said, you think you real, but you not. You've alienated all your people. When you die, you're going to die alone. And nobody will miss you. because you've just screwed over so many people. And when he said that, I guess it struck a chord with Kanan because Kanan popped him. And what made me mad is Kanan popped him in a way where he let his uncle suffer before he was fully unalived. Now, Juke, when she did snaps and pop, she boom, 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 boom. Like, what do they call them? I cannot think about it. Assassinations, I believe. What is it called? I can't think of what it's called, and I play video games. That's a shame. But she assassinated them and made sure that they was good and gone. Kanan let Marvin bleed out and move around a little bit before he offed himself. And I just thought that was whack. I think the writers are doing a good job at showing how dark Kanan is. Listen, Lulu may have been an accident, but obviously he didn't care because he never grieved it. Why show up to the funeral, Kanan, if you did not care? If you were mad at your mother, why did you have to get at all of these other people in your way? That's why you never had loyalty, and that's what ended up unaliving Kanan and Power, because he just never learned loyalty. Because if you'll betray your own cousin, because mind you, Jukebox and Kanan stayed cool. They stayed cool, which leads me to believe Jukebox is not aware that Kanan is the person who unalived her uncle. And there's so many people after Marvin and Rock that it's an easy thing that Kanan can get away with. So I'm just like, man, RIP to Marvin. It's unfortunate, but I think they did a really good job at showing his character coming closer to God, questioning if it was worth it, realizing that part of being in the game is greed, and kind of accepting his fate. I respected Marvin because Marvin looked Kanan in the eye like he told Kanan, I'm a real gangster. Okay? Marvin said, I'll beat your ass and I can shoot you, but I'm going to beat your ass first. And it's just one of those things where I was like, at least he looked up in the eye. But I was mad because y'all disrespected this man's church. Marvin been cursing in this church. Kanan done came in the church and unalived somebody. And then before Marvin got off, he lit up a cigarette in the church. Okay, that poor pastor. Now, I'm curious to see if the pastor will really give the money to Juke, but I don't trust no pastor, honestly. Church is a business, y'all. Let them tell you something different. You could love the Lord, but you can also admit that church is a business. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I love the Lord, but church is a business, okay? I can love the Lord without you asking for my time, Lord. But I don't know. I was just really disappointed to see that happen. We're going to miss Marvin. I was so sad to see Lou go away. Now we have Marvin going away, but we have 2 more episodes left of this season. Let me know what your predictions are for the rest of the season. If you feel like I left anything out, how you guys felt about it. But Mrs. Best is so upset that Marvin is gone, but they kind of prepared us for it. I'm most curious about what will happen with Rock. Now, they do mention that Rock was alive in Power with Ghost and Tommy and them, but maybe the writers will do something different. I'm curious to see if Rock will snitch. There's a lot that's going on. So definitely going to be a fully packed last 2 episodes. But I appreciate everybody for watching this review. I appreciate you guys. I have some new shows that I'm covering on the channel. If you are watching this review on August 1st, happy August, y'all. Happy August. It is the month of my wedding anniversary. It's always a good month for me because of that. But some of the new shows I'll be having up this weekend and for August. Yes, I will be covering Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, the 20-year celebration. Yes, I will be covering Put a Ring on It Cheat Hab on Sundays with Watch Your Mouth reviews on my channel. I will also be covering Fightland, which is a show that airs on Starz. I'm going to do that on Sunday as well. But tap in. There's lots of shows that we cover. If there's a show that you would like me to cover, feel free to suggest it. I have most apps. I just do not have Zeus or Now That's TV. I don't feel the need to promote networks and shows that embarrass the Black people and people of color. So that's why I don't cover them. But I appreciate all of y'all for watching this review. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your morning, afternoon, or night. Thug life till it's backwards. Okay. And I will see you guys next time. Au revoir.